Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of an invitation to a conversation. And today, my guest is Trinia Rankin. And Trina is a native of Brunswick, Georgia. Being the only girl and the youngest of three siblings, her mother made it a priority to teach her the values of respect, integrity, honesty, and hard work. It is those same principles and values that shaped her career and earned her the reputation and respect among others within the community. She enjoys coaching youth in basketball and cheerleading. She also loves to sing, direct choirs, and host gospel concerts in the community and surrounding areas. Trina has always been a woman of integrity and strength, along with a keen sense of responsibility when assisting others in need. As a teenager, she worked for the Terrell Thomas Boys Clubs from 1992 to 1994, mentoring and teaching kids during the summer months. She graduated from Glenn Academy High School. Shortly after graduation, she began a career in customer service while working above and beyond to assist customers in need of service. In 2005, she relocated to Florida and worked full-time for Blue Cross and Blue Shield in the Medicare department. Her primary responsibility was assisting senior citizens select Medicare plans that were vital for their healthcare needs. Later, she enrolled at Everest University in Orange Park, Florida, with a major in criminal justice. In 2013, she accepted a position with the Glenn County Tax Commissioner's Office under the supervision of retired Tax Commissioner Florence Dees. She received extensive training in the areas of taxation and valuation, statewide exemption programs, contractual partial payment agreements, and sales tax policy and procedures. She managed to create innovative ways to increase the collection of delinquent accounts by generating a mass mail out of notifications to each delinquent mobile home owner account and collected over $100,000 in back taxes. As of April 2015, she accepted a new position as the Glenn County Occupation Tax Coordinator. She is responsible for processing applications for the issuance of occupation tax certificates, such as business license, alcohol license, event permits, festival permits, and solicitor badges. Every other year, she participates in training events with the Georgia Association of Business Tax Officials, state conference or training that provides information on new state statutes and updated policy and procedures. Good afternoon, Ms. Rankin, and thank you for accepting my invitation to a conversation. Glad to have you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And the reason why you're here today is because the election next Tuesday, you are running for the new tax commission office. Thank you. Right. So let's start by me asking you, what is the duties of a tax commissioner?
So the duties of the tax commissioner office is to collect the personal property taxes as well as the tag payments. The duties is to ensure that every citizen is aware of everything that they qualify for in the tax commissioner's office, as well as customer service to ensure that every customer is helped in a timely manner. That's basically the biggest portion besides the digest. The digest has to be done by the property tax, the tax commissioner every year. And it goes through the tax assessor's office, the city of Brunswick, and the state, and along, of course, with the Glenn County property tax.
So when you say tax commissioner and when you say tags, are you talking about the tag that we have to get every year for our vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and the property tax, people who own their homes or who are buying to own their homes. Okay,
right.
And how often do they pay those those property taxes?
The property taxes due by November 15th of each year.
Okay, all right. And what made you decide to run for tax commissioner?
So a few years back, I was living in North Carolina, and my mom went to the property tax office to find out how to lower my grandmother's taxes. And at the time, my grandmother was about 87 years old, and she went up there and they asked, well, how old is she? And she told her that she was 87, and they said, oh, well, she can apply for the school tax exemption, which is what you apply for when you turn 65. So for 22 years, my grandmother had been paying property tax on the school for school tax on her property taxes. And it became a personal endeavor, I should say, for me, because I feel that all citizens should know what they qualify for in the property tax office. So that has been my goal, to share that information with any citizen that I meet, come across, or what have you. I tell them about everything that they qualify for and when they should apply for these exemptions.
Okay, and you said at 65, that when she was 87 and she didn't know for 20 some years that she could get a waiver from paying this property tax. And so that's one of my questions I would like to ask you. Can you tell us about the two adjustments that goes underneath the property taxes?
So there's a few. Of course, you know, when you first buy a home, you would want to go to the property tax office, as long as you own the home and the land. You can apply for the homestead exemption and the Scarlett Williams. Then when you turn 62, there's a 62 years of age exemption and the 65 years of age exemption, which is the school exemption, which the school tax is the most that you pay on a property tax bill. And then there's the veterans exemption. 100% disabled veterans can get taxes waived as well for the property.
They can get the
So that,
whole property tax waived, no matter how old they are, as long as they're 100% disabled.
right, they can get I'm not sure if it's the full tax waived or if there's a percentage of the tax that is waived.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there is deadlines, because any exemption that you apply for, you must apply for it before on or before April 1st of that year. If you turn 62 after January 1st, you can go ahead and apply for the 62 years of age exemption, but it will not go, the exemption won't go on your tax until the next following year.
Okay.
Same with the 65 years of age school tax exemption. If you're not 65 on January 1st, then you would apply for the 65 years of age tax exemption, and it goes on your tax bill the following year.
So anybody who turns that age, 62 or 65, after April the 15th, 1st, has to wait until the following year to get their exemption.
After the beginning of the year.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Because you have to bring in your, when you file your income tax, you have to bring in your statements. And that's how they verify that your income falls into that income bracket to where you get that exemption. And most people don't do their taxes until January, February, or March, or what have you, and some April or later in the year. So you have to do if you're not 62 or 65 January 1, you'll still apply for it, but it just won't take place on your tax exemption until the next following year.
Okay, now at 62, what is that exemption for?
The 62 years of age exemption, I believe that is the 40%
of the fair market value.
Yes.
Right. Yes. And that means that the taxpayer only has to pay taxes on the remaining 60% of that 100% tax thing, right?
Right.
Okay. And so that's a good thing. And yes. 65, and at 65, you get your school tax removed. What is the purpose of the school tax?
The school tax, it helps with the building the schools and all that good stuff, dealing with the school system. So the school tax, the Board of Education is who comes up with the number as far as the rate that you pay for the school taxes.
Okay.
And for citizens that live in the city of Brunswick, they actually pay two taxes. They pay a portion of city tax and they pay a portion of county tax. And reason being is because the taxes that they pay, the portion of the county tax, is the school portion, because it's the Glenn County Board of Education. So it's county.
Right.
So that's why they have to pay a school and a county, I'm sorry, a city and a county tax when they live in the city of Brunswick. And the county residents, they only pay county tax because they don't have a city tax, because they're in unincorporated part of
Right.
Glenn County.
Right. And so, so the school tax are paid for the building of the new school. Does it
Yeah.
pay for any other renovations or remodeling? So whatever the schools has to
Whatever
do.
the school needs.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's a shame it can't be used for teachers' supplies that they need.
That is true. That is so true. That is so true. And I have people that ask, well, I'm 55 years old. I don't have kids in school, so why do I have to pay a school tax?
Well, that's how I felt about it. I have
Right.
grandkids in school, and I'm like, why am I still paying this school tax? And
Exactly.
right, and they said it's for the next year of the kids going in there, but
Mhm.
they just say it's for the children, but they don't say that it's for the building of the schools and things like that. So I know
Exactly.
there's a process of, I think they want to rebuild Glen Middle or something, I think coming soon or whatever. That's somewhere down the pipeline.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yes, yes.
That's one of the newer schools.
Well, it's one of the schools. I could be wrong, but
I
I
know
know they're building Altama
Alabama.
Avenue.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
hmm So, so like you found out about your grandmother, and she lives in Carolina and Brunswick. Are there any notices that gets mailed out to homeowners to let them know that they're reaching? Because they surely send you a property tax bill, but is
Right.
there is there
Right.
any notices that comes out prior to them turning 62 or 65 to say that you're eligible for these waivers?
Of my knowing, there are no notices that go out there. As a matter of fact, I know when I worked in that department, there were no notices that went out. So what I would do is every customer that came to my window, I would ask, if you don't mind, if I can ask how old you are, and they would tell me, and I would give them that information. Now, we did have pamphlets that
Mhm.
we had at our window or what have you. I do know that it would go in the newspaper, but everybody doesn't get the newspaper. So everybody
Right,
doesn't know about the exemptions that they qualify
right,
for.
right. Do you think that um do you think that it should be notices sent out in order to inform people the of the adjustments that's coming up due to their age 62 or 65?
I think there are notices that should be going out, as well as the newspaper article, as well as I become tax commissioner, a class, a monthly class that I would hold for the citizens, because I want everybody to be in the know, and
Right,
I want them to have the knowledge of what they can and cannot qualify for.
right. And that's one of my next questions. um what is your agenda when you become tax commissioner? What do you have on the books to that you want to add to the tax commissioner office or take away from it?
My agenda is to try to, I can back up to what I do now. So with the business license and alcohol division, we have caterers that hold off-premise catering licenses. And we also have venue owners that rent out their venues to persons, to the community for parties or weddings or whatever. And because these venues are not licensed for alcohol, the person renting that facility has to hire a caterer with an off-premise alcohol license, because that's state
Mhm.
law. So it was a bit confusing for a few people. So what I did was I sent an email and I called everybody. I called everybody first, and then I did an email to those people, letting them know that I wanted to set up a class so we can all be on the same page. Everybody will be on the same page as far as the venue owners, the event planners, and the caterers. So we did the class back in March, and it was a success. Everybody now understands this is what has to take place. So that same concept is what I would do for the property tax office. I would host a class monthly for new homeowners or old homeowners, it doesn't matter, um, for people that are approaching 62 or 65, or anyone that just wants knowledge on the property tax office. I would have that class to give them all that knowledge, because a lot of people think that the tax commissioner comes up with this millage rate, which they do not.
Right.
The state and the board of commissioners are the ones that come up with the rates and set the rates or what have you. So the tax commissioner just collects those funds or whatever. But I would like to host a class so everybody would know what they qualify for, what they can't qualify for, or what have you. And then I would also like to do kiosks at different, like 3 different locations, one on St. Simon, one on Jekyll, and one on the mainland, which would cut down on lines at the office.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
that will cut down on the lines, and it will allow those people that seriously have questions to be able to go in and talk to the clerk or whomever, myself or whoever, to get answers that they're looking for. The
Right.
kiosk would allow them to physically go and scan their license, and it'll print out their tag. They pay for it, whatever, and it prints out the tag. So therefore, the decal, I should say, it prints out the decal. So therefore, the lines are shorter. So you don't have people standing throughout the whole hallway in the property tax,
Right.
well, in the Harold Pate building.
Right, right. So, yeah, I lost my train of thought. So, I can't think of what I was going to say. That never happened before. Excuse me. So, this is what I was going to say. Yeah, because I think it's very unfortunate that, first of all, your grandmother had to wait all those years and still paying those property tax, which I stumbled across that doing some paperwork for somebody else, and I found out about it, and I told my friends and family and neighbors, and they were like, really? And some of them had surpassed that 62 or 65 age and didn't know about it. And I'm like, listen, people are good sending out a notice for a bill ahead of time to let you know that this bill is coming and it's due, because you get 2 different property taxes. You get one in April, which tells you what they assume that it's going to be, and then you get the one in October. And then I really think that sending them out a notice or something along with their property tax bill or whatever, to just inform them. And I think that class will be very valuable. I think people are now talking about being transparent. I think people want to be better understood of the benefits that they can get, because some people work hard and live in these homes and pay a lot of money to sustain them. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a nice waiver. I think that's a nice break. Especially when they don't have kids in school anymore.
Right. And I was out canvassing a few weeks ago, and I spoke with someone, and she was 80 years old, and she did not have a tax exemption. She didn't know anything about it. I went canvassing about 2 months ago in 2 different neighborhoods, and these people did not know about the exemption. And I said, well, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here, because I'm going to always give that knowledge, regardless if I'm tax commissioner or not. I'm going to always give our elderly people that knowledge, because that's knowledge that they need to know.
Yes.
They need to know that. They need to know, because it's wrong to continue to take their money and not tell them that they qualify for an exemption. That's just wrong, and I'm totally against that. Regardless who it is, I'm totally against that. So I fight for the people, and I fight for everybody, regardless your age, color, creed, whatever, religion, regardless of what it is. I fight for what's right.
Mhm.
And what's right is letting people know that they qualify for an exemption. Again, everybody doesn't get the newspaper.
Right. I,
Everybody does not get a
I
newspaper.
don't buy it. I'm
Oh,
guilty. I'm guilty. I don't buy it. I read the
right.
Brunswick News on my phone, on my computer. Yes.
And see, and that's another thing too, because they have the stuff online, but everybody, all elderly citizens can't use computers. They don't
Right.
know how to use a computer,
Right.
or they may not have a family member that can come and help them and walk through stuff because they may not even know that their loved one qualifies or
Right.
whatever. So that's why it's so important that we, as the I believe when it comes down to the tax commissioner, you're voted in by the citizens. You work for the citizens. So therefore, your employers need to know what they qualify for.
Yes.
They
Yes.
need that
Yes.
information.
Yes.
They
They
need
do.
that information, and it's very important that they get that information. And
Yes.
when they don't get that information and they get it from someone else, case in point, I have two people that work in my office, and neither of those gentlemen knew that they qualified for an exemption.
And they work in the tax office.
They work, we don't work in the tax office. We work in community development. The tax office is on the first floor and
Okay.
we're on the second floor. But two, two people that work with me did not know that they qualify for an exemption
Mm, mm,
until they talked to me. Did
mm.
I tell them that they qualify for an exemption because I'm running for tax commissioner? Of course not. I told them because that's the right thing to do, because they need to know
Oh
that
yes.
that's what they qualify for. And I would say it all day. If I win the tax commissioner's office, I'm proud and I'm happy. If God see fit that I stay where I am, I'm proud and I'm happy. But my voice is still going to let people know that
Yes.
information. I'm still going to tell
Yes.
people about their exemptions
Yes.
regardless.
And
Regardless.
God said wisdom and knowledge that you know is not work unless you give it to somebody else. It does
That is
no
right.
good to keep to yourself,
That is
because
right.
that's why when I found out about it, I have a little post-it pad, a little note, and I tell people or my friends or associates that I be around, I say, now listen now, you know you get ready to change this age now.
Right.
So
Right.
don't forget, when the next year changes over, you got until I thought it was the same time that taxes ended, April 15th, but it's April the 1st. Go do it. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, when you go down there and it's past your age, they're not going to go backwards,
Right.
and subtract all that money from the
Right.
past. No,
Are
they're
not.
going to start from the time that you came, and they'll just feel bad. But I think that with everybody talking about transparency and everything
Mhm.
from every level of government, federal, state, and local, I think that should be one of the things that people should be notified about.
Which is for
Um,
sure.
I sure do. So you said that the tax and the property tax, are there any other services under tax commissioners that are valuable to people?
Just to tag the property tax and the mobile home tax.
Okay,
That's
okay.
those are the things that that office handles.
Do mobile homes get the same waivers at 62 and 65
If
as
they
homeowners?
if they own the mobile home and it's adjacent to the lands,
Mm-hmm.
then yes, they could qualify for the school exemption and all the other exemptions, homestead and everything as well. And the reason on my bio that you read, the reason that I wanted to create those letters, I generated those letters to send out to
Right.
um, the mobile home communities, is because I'm a fair person and I believe that everything should be the same across the board. So if I do something for you, I would do the same for this person over here and this person over here and the person in the back and the person in the front and the side or whatever. And what came about was we would we would put properties on the courthouse step for the back taxes or what have you. And those properties are 3 years behind, of course. So they would auction them off on the courthouse step. Some of those homes range from maybe 19,000 up to probably 60, 70, 80,000, $100,000 or whatever. But then when I started helping, because there's downtime in that office, so I started helping in another department with the mobile homes. I asked, why are the mobile home taxes like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years behind?
Mm.
And the answer that I got was because the mobile homes depreciate. I said, well, all homes depreciate. And I then said, well, there are mobile homes that are worth $50,000, $60,000, where there are homes that are worth $19,000.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see the difference, because a tax is a tax, and being delinquent is being delinquent. So I took it upon myself, and I created a letter, I generated a letter to send out to all the delinquent mobile home owners. And I did work with them, and I made my goal to collect $100,000 before I took on my new position. So I generated the letter, showed it to the previous tax commissioner. She approved it. I sent the letter out. Um, I had a lot of people that were on my list that were delinquent. So what I would have them do to help, work with them or whatever, I would have them pay, like if they were 7, 8 years behind, I would have them pay the latter 2 years. And then we did a partial payment arrangement for the balance.
Mm-hmm.
I even had mobile home owners that own mobile home parks. I had two that were delinquent and they were years behind. I did the same thing with them. And with me doing that, I ended up, before I took my new position, which is a higher position with with Glenn County, I collected over $100,000 in back taxes and mobile home taxes alone. And because I love working with people and helping people, I felt that that needed to be done. Because no, I didn't tell anybody they were going to lose their mobile home or anything of that nature. That I didn't tell anybody the county was going to take it, or anything. It's just the fact that if we're going to auction off somebody's house for 3 years behind, we can't let the mobile homes go 8, 9, 10, 12 years behind. We can't do that. That's not fair. That's not fair to the person over here, because somebody's home is their home. And that's not fair.
That was my segue question to what you're talking about. Because I'm getting ready to say, listen, you can be only a few years behind in your house property tax and you foreclosure. But you mean to tell me people in mobile homes had longer years to catch up on their property tax and they didn't do it?
See, they didn't have longer years. They just didn't collect on it. They just didn't, like, what I should say is they didn't harass those people like they did the people with the houses.
And is their property tax have to be paid every year like homeowners?
It does.
Wow.
It does. Because they have to physically get decals and everything. So they get decals for the trailer, but they have that land tax. So they have their property taxes as well that they have to pay. So I just felt that that was unfair to people that own homes. So if we're going to do something, we need to do it across the board. And that's why I took on that task by myself, because I just felt that that was wrong.
I think that congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, because listen, I think homeowners will be mad if they found out that people who live in mobile homes, weren't paying their property tax, but they weren't getting threatened to lose their home like homeowners were.
Exactly.
And yeah, that is something else. So is there a difference? And is there a difference between so that's one difference. So how has that transition been since you regulated that new change? Has been running smoothly, and so it's less people now?
I'm not sure, because when I left the office, I still had people on the partial payment plan. And I gave my folder to one of the ladies there, so they'll know, because each month when they came in to make their payment, I would mark through the balance due and put the new balance, and I'll put how much they paid, the date that they paid, and all that stuff. I had it all lined out, all cute in the folder. And I gave her the folder, and I said, so when they come in, you'll know exactly what to do. And because of me taking stuff like that to heart to help people, that's how I ended up in my new position,
Mm,
because I can do collections, I can do
right.
any of that stuff, but I know how to work with people and
Oh
not
yeah.
hurt people, you
Yeah.
know. So, and I
Yes.
know I had this one lady to call me one day because her taxes were behind and she was disabled. Well, I asked how old she was, and she told me she was 55. And I said, "Well, I'm sorry, but there's no exemption that you would qualify for, or what have you." And she just started crying on the phone and everything. And it broke my heart, because as a person, believe that people with a disability
Mm,
should get some type of exemption,
mm,
you know, regardless if it's 5% or
mm.
2% or 10%. I just believe that they should get some type of exemption.
Because they're on a fixed
Fixed income.
income. Right.
Exactly.
And what
Exactly.
they used to make, maybe they made more prior to that disability. And
Exactly.
and if your cost of living doesn't go up every year, you have to budget of how you're going to sustain a lifestyle, you know,
Right.
through the
Right.
rest of the year. Right. Right. Right.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
So I took that to heart, and I'm still doing my research on that. I know I would have to contact the state to find
Mm-hmm.
out if there was anything that we can do on a local level as
Mm-hmm.
far as the local tax or whatever. So I'm still in process of talking to different people on that. So if I would be able to implement that for the disabled people, that would be so awesome for them. I
Yes.
just I just feel that we're here to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And just like my job that I'm in now, I'm here to help people. I even help people complete applications.
Oh,
I help
sure.
them
Yes.
complete their application with their alcohol, because I always tell people my application, I understand my application because it's my application.
Mm-hmm.
You may not understand the application or what it's asking for or what have you. So if you have questions, I'm here to help you. I have citizens that come to my office to renew their business license. And one, they either don't have their reading glasses, or two, they may not be able to read, or three, they just they're not able to write or something of that nature. And I tell them, just sign the bottom. I'm going to ask you the questions and I'll fill it in for you. And
Mm.
people are like, "You would do that for me?" Of course I will, because I'll do anything to help you.
Yeah.
Anything that I can do to help people is it's that's my goal, and that's how I was raised.
Right. And
So
and the climate of customer service has changed a lot
it
over
has.
the last 10 or 20 years. I mean, because even when you call different companies, utility company or whatever have you, or Walmart, or want to order something, you have to talk to voice over the phone. But I always press that zero, because
Right.
I'd rather talk to
Someone.
somebody
Hmm.
than talk to that answering machine. And they will
Absolutely right.
tell you, you can talk to me just like if you were talking to a person. I'll help, help you with anything. But
Right.
I really think that customer service has to be come back to the forefront. You know,
It does.
everybody, and that's good that you do that. And maybe, I don't know if your coworkers always do that, but then, like you said, customers are surprised that you're willing to help, because
Mhm.
without the lack of that customer service, everybody feels like you're trying to get them out of the way. Here, I gave it to you.
Right.
You're going,
Right.
next,
Right.
next, next.
Right.
And so
Absolutely
people
right.
really want to feel that they are being listened to
Right.
and appreciated. And
Exactly
that's
right.
why um, I decided to do the show, and it came at an election year, because a lot of people said that they don't know who the candidates are. But I
Hmm.
told them, if you get out into the community and network, you will find out who they are. And for example, my grandson um, just voted for the first time this year. Now, I took him when he was a little boy, and he just voted for the first time. And I explained to him, I said, now listen, we get ready to have another election next year. So this is what you do. You pay attention to who's running.
That's
Okay.
right.
Right now, you can listen to the debates, go on social media, ask
Mhm.
questions, and then research them and find out what they did while they were in office. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And then
Right.
that way you can follow them along, and whether you can vote for them locally, statewide, or federal. So I think you have a great personality to be
Thank you.
customer service. You have a beautiful smile, and I
Thank
think
you.
that I like your agenda of the transparency, because I really think that people want to save money every bit they can. And like you said, that property tax is like 95%. I mean, the school tax, excuse me. The school
Right.
tax is 90 to 95% of their property tax.
Yep.
And you
That
can
is a
do a
big chunk.
lot of things with that money. You know what I'm saying?
That is true.
I got
That
a
is so
few
true.
more. I'm so close to that number. I can taste it, you know. So, what is so? Just so for my knowledge, because I love learning different things every day. What is the difference between owning a home? Are there a big difference between or downsides between owning a home and owning a mobile home? Other than
The difference in the two is the tax, the value, of course, because the tax is the millage rate is based on or comes the number of the millage rate is based on the value of the home.
mhm,
So you do have, like I said earlier, you have mobile homes that are worth $60,000, mobile home and land. You have houses that are worth 19,000.
mhm,
So that's the difference. Like a $19,000 house, the tax may be, just off top of my head, a guesstimation of what no, I'm going to change it. Say a $30,000 home, the tax may be about six five
mhm,
to 600 and some odd dollars.
mhm.
The tax of a mobile home with the that's worth about $20,000 or whatever is going to be less, because that millage rate, it goes off the value.
Okay. Oh, this is the question I had to ask you. How do they estimate how much your property tax is going to be?
So the tax assessor's office, they do an appraisal on the properties,
Mhm,
and I believe they go out every year, but I'm not sure.
mhm,
So don't quote me on that. I'm not sure if they
mhm,
go out every year to each house to assess them, but they
mhm.
go out and they assess the property value. And then, as I stated, the millage rate comes from the state and the board of commissioners.
Commissioners. Mhm,
So then they get that to the tax assessor's office, and that's how they come up with the numbers
mhm.
and send it over to the property tax office after they send out the what is it, the
Right.
assessment value that they send out to the homeowners.
In April.
And
Mhm.
right, and then if the homeowner feels that assess is that's not realistic or that it's wrong or whatever, they can go and they can attest it or what have you.
Right.
And if it's in their favor, it'll be lowered. If it's not, it will remain the same. Like I had a young lady that came that I saw at a restaurant one day, and we were talking, and she said that she had been trying to figure out why her property taxes were so high,
Mhm.
and she has marsh and she has home. So she has so many acres of marsh, so many acres on her home, and she couldn't figure out why it was so much money. So I told her, because that's what I do, I help people. I told
Right.
her, I said, well, let me call downstairs and find out what can be done. So I
Mhm.
called downstairs and I spoke with them, and they said that they needed to come out and assess her property again, that they had already been out once before, but they couldn't get into her yard or what have you.
Mhm.
So I called her back. I let her know what she needed to do, because they felt that her property tax may be able to come down, once
Right.
they can get on the property to assess the value and everything. And so I called her back, and she said, well, I'm going to call them right now so I can have them come out and do what they need to do. And she thanked me for that, of course, which I'm just gracious to help anybody.
Oh, sure, sure, sure. What who implements most of the laws and the policies for the tax commissioner?
The state.
The state does. Okay. So you just have a small window where
That's
you
it.
can make.
That's it. That's it. That's why I said in order for me to try to figure out if we can do any type of exemption for disabled people,
Right.
not veterans, but just regular disabled citizens, I would have to go through the state.
Right. And then like you did the mail out to get all that back money, did you have to go through the states for them
No.
to okay. But I bet you
No.
they were glad you got that back money.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely right.
So you can't make any policies or any laws or anything. It comes from the state. And how often do they change those?
Um, I'm not sure. I know, like with my department, I go to my state trainings twice a year. So at any point in time when we go to our trainings, something could be changed. One of the ordinances could be changed for the state, or that we have to abide by locally. So it just depends. It depends on the state.
How's your campaign going?
Everything is going good. I am so ready for Tuesday to come and go. I'm like, Lord.
We have been in election year, feels like ever since January. It feels like we have been in election year. I mean, because when the pandemic first came in March, that one had to be put on to the side because we were sheltered in place and everything. And I'm so ready to.
Yes, I am. I'm ready because it has taken a not a toll on me, but I've been like three people at one time, because I have to work. I'm working from 7 to 5.
Yes.
Or I'm taking vacation days to work on the campaign, so it's like I just feel that I need to be everywhere at the same time.
So do you have an open door policy when you become tax collector?
Yes.
Tax commissioner, that people can come in and tell you. So can you tell those, so everybody should know where your office is at right now, the tax commissioner office is right now.
Yes, so the tax commissioner's office is located on the first floor of the Harold Pate building. And my office is located on the second floor of the Harold Pate building. And I've always had an open door policy to where customers do not have to make they don't have to schedule a meeting with me to come and talk to me. They just show up. My assistant will call me and say, hey, there's somebody here to see you. Okay, I'm coming up, or you can bring them back. Either or, it's fine with me, because I like to talk to citizens. Because one, I'm a problem solver, so I love to solve people problems. So if it may be to a citizen, their problem may be like here,
right?
But it's in reality is, on my side, it's like here. So we can get that. We can get it fixed for you. And I feel that I am a problem solver, and I can help people with their problems. If I don't know the answer, I will definitely get the answer.
Well, Dad, you sound like me.
I will get the answer because I don't want to give anybody any false information. So I'm quick to call the county attorney if it's something dealing with alcohol that I haven't dealt with in the 5 years of me doing the business license portion. I would quickly call him, and I will get the answer. If it's something dealing with the state, I would quickly call them and get the answer. If it's something that I haven't dealt with before, I'm going to get the answer, because we're going to get it resolved. We're going to get whatever it is that has to be taken care of. We're going to get it taken care of, and we're going to do it right here. So rarely have I ever had anyone to say that they need to talk to my supervisor.
Okay.
Because I am that. Now they may tell my assistant that they want to talk to her supervisor because, and the crazy part is, sometimes people want to talk to to your superior because what you're telling them, they don't want to hear.
Right.
But then
they think they're going to say something different.
Right. So their superior comes and says the same exact thing. And I had that happen to me with the previous supervisor that I had. I talked to one of the businesses here that has a cosmetology salon here. And I told him that I needed the state license for the cosmetology and I needed the state license for the people that actually work in that salon.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't believe me and he wanted to speak to my supervisor. And I said, okay. So I sent it over to my supervisor. And of course, he didn't know either because he doesn't know my job like that, because he was dealing with the whole community development. So his main focus was planning and zoning and the building portions, of the county or whatever. So my little part, business license, alcohol license, he wasn't focused on that stuff. So he really didn't know. So I pulled my ordinance and I sent it to him. He called the gentleman back and he was like, well, yeah, per our ordinance, we got to have it. So I'm fine with people wanting to, if, I was fine with the guy wanting to talk to him because he's going to tell you the same thing that I just told you. And the same with my assistant, when they tell her, well, I want to talk to Trina or I want to talk to your supervisor. So I come out and I tell them the exact same thing. And it's like they comprehend it like, oh, okay, thank you.
Right. So does this tax office just serve Glenn County and Brunswick, or does it serve other surrounding areas?
Just Glenn County and Brunswick. So
Okay.
it's everything here, St. Simons, Jekyll, Brunswick, and Glenn County.
Well, Ms. Rankin, we're getting down to the end of this interview. It's been not an interview, but a conversation. Okay, it's been chilly in the air. The wind is blowing, and I get cold easily. So do you have a favorite phrase, scripture, or testimony that has impacted your life and what you do and how you do it?
So I have a few, like James 2:26 that says faith without works is dead.
Yes.
And I'm a firm believer that if you have the faith but you're not willing to put in the work, it makes no sense to do so. So first, faith without works is dead, and I have faith, and that's why I put my faith into action and I work my faith. And then I have Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Yeah. And I am a Christian. So I totally believe in God. I totally believe in his word. So I believe all things through Christ, strengthens me. And then I have Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way that they should go. And when he is older, he will not depart from it. And I grew up in the church and I'm still in the church. I sing every Sunday. So I'm like, I was trained to help people and I was trained to be respectable. I was trained to honor people. My mom trained me very well. As a single parent, she trained me very, very well. She trained me to be a strong, independent woman. And I've always been strong and independent. So when I got, it wasn't even backlash. It was questions when people ask, you're running for tax commissioner against Jeff Chapman? And I'm like, sure I am. I mean, it's nothing against him. It's just that I believe that office needs somebody that's for the citizens and that's willing to help the citizens. That's what I believe. I firmly believe that when I started at Glenn County, any position I have, I believe that the citizens, it's all about the community. It is all about the community. And the community.
And the community does need to be aware of what's going on around them.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just simple as that. You know what I'm saying? I raise my daughters and my grandkids, and I tell them, listen here, when you're walking down the street, just be aware of your surroundings. If you're living in your city, whether Glenn County or wherever, and you have to pay certain bills and certain taxes and things like that, answer that question. Because if I get a bill and I'm getting charged for something that I don't recognize, I'm calling them and asking them, why am I paying for such and such?
Right.
Be aware of what's going on, because a lot of times they sneak those little surcharges in there and it adds up. By the time, and then that tax adds on to that, and it keeps on going. And if you're not the person that is inquisitive of what's going on with your bill, they just going to keep on sending it to you, and you're gonna just go keep on paying. But
That's true.
I
That's
love
like,
to.
just to elaborate on that a little bit, that's like when I was canvassing 2 weeks ago, and a guy, he was just ranting, and he was like, I don't understand why I'm paying two taxes. That makes no sense because I live in the city, so why I got to pay a county tax and this, and all kind of stuff. And I told him, I said, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out why you're paying two taxes. I said, I will find out why you're paying two taxes, why there's two taxes, because I didn't know that answer when I worked down there. Well, actually, it wasn't even a question when I worked in the property tax office, because at that time, there was only one bill that you received. But now that it's split, not going to go into that, but now that it's split, people have, it's such an inconvenience, and now people are getting two bills. So they're wondering, why am I paying a tax for the
Yes.
county if I live in the city? That makes no sense. But when it was one bill, there was no question, no questions asked. So I got the answer, and I told him, I said, I'm coming back to your home and I'm going to tell you your answer. I'm going to give you the answer. I went back to his home the other day and I gave him his answer. He thanked me so much. He said, because I don't think if I'd asked anybody else that in that office, I don't think they would have came back to tell me. And I said, well, I'm a woman of my word. If I tell you I'm coming, I'm going to find something out, or I'm going to call you. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to call you. I'm going to tell you I'm going to come back or whatever. I'm going to give you the answer that you need, because you are the citizen and you deserve that. So one of my goals before we go is to talk to the city, make amends with the city, and try to pull the tax bill back together so it is not an inconvenience for the citizen.
And what it is when it was one bill, they wasn't in tune that they were still paying the same bill. All they did was take it out of that one bill and made it two bills. Because people were like, well, I need to see what the difference is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
because it's been one for so many years.
Yes. And it's confused. It's confusing. But like I tell people, listen, until you have that job or be in tune and get into the community and learn the ways of the laws and the policies and the regulations, Lord have mercy, because I've always been a person of politics, but it wasn't until 2018 that I start going into the community and learning about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And by being on the joining the Democratic Party here, I found out so much information.
Right.
And then I went over to working the polls, you know, during the election time, and it's just a plethora of information. But
it is, because it's a learning process for me as well, because I've never been in politics, but I've always been the one to want to help people. And me doing what I want to do as far as helping people in the property tax office causes me to run for tax commissioner. And if that's what I have to do, then that's what I'm going to do. And again, neither here nor there, I'm still going to help people regardless.
And it's nothing wrong.
Information.
And there's nothing wrong with knowing a little bit of this and a little bit of that, you know, because you never know where you're going to be in the middle of a conversation or in the midst of some new information in order to apply it. And so before we go, Ms. Rankin, this has been a wonderful conversation.
One more thing, I'm sorry. I got to go back to one of your questions when you asked what all taxes did the property tax office collect. I forgot about the personal property, because they do collect personal property tax, which is the equipment that people use for their businesses. They have to pay a tax on that as well. And that's the personal property tax. I forgot about that one.
Okay. Okay, so it's got property tax and personal property tax.
Correct.
And that's like assets, machinery, equipment.
Exactly.
Okay. Exactly. We're still in the same time frame. Is there anything that we did not talk about or that I asked you that you would like to tell the listening audience before we leave here?
No, you asked me everything. The only thing I want to encourage people is on Tuesday, November 3rd, please just get out and vote. Get out and vote. It's very important. As I tell people, or I've told, especially younger people, as I've told them, we can't march for change. We can't protest about change if we don't go to the polls to click that button for change.
And you can't
So,
be in the midst of a conversation if you did not vote. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
You
Because
can't.
there's no sense in complaining. No sense
Right.
in complaining if you're
Right.
not going to cast your vote. So I just encourage people. I've been voting since I was 18. So I encourage people to just get out and vote.
Mm-hmm.
Get out and vote. If you don't understand or don't know who someone is, like you said earlier, look them up. Look them up.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people know me from church, again, because I sing. So a lot of people know me from church. The
Mm-hmm.
business owners around Glenn County, they all know me because my name is on their license and they deal with
Yes.
me
Yes.
every year. So they know me, you know.
Right.
But and like I said earlier, I go out canvassing. I love going door to door because I get to meet people that don't know me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And people take pride in that. They thank people for, like yesterday when I was out and I was talking to people and they said, because you're here, you have my vote. I'm voting for you because I don't see everybody. They're
Right.
like, I don't see everybody that's on the ballot. I don't know the people
Right.
that's on the ballot or whatever. But you don't mind coming out. You don't mind coming out in the neighborhoods and the projects and Dixville area, Arco and stuff of that. I don't. I don't mind because I know I have my shield and I know God protects me. And people, if you respect people, they respect you.
Yes. 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 And on that note, thank you, Ms. Rankin. I hope you win your candidacy for tax
Thank you.
commissioner. I'll be looking for that notice in the mail in a
Yes,
few
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
to
ma'am.
remind me that that day is coming for me to get rid
That's
of that
right.
school tax. And you take
That's right.
care and you continue to have a blessed weekend.
Yes, ma'am. You too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.